Hello?
Hello.
Am I audible to you?
Yes,
Okay, okay. We'll be starting our session in 5 minutes.
sure.
Jale. Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes. Am I
Okay,
audible?
okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to PhD Alumni International Webinar organized by Student Academic Board in collaboration with RSF Tripoli. I am Dipandita Viswas. I'll be your host today for today's session. Today we have the privilege of hearing from distinguished alumni who have successfully navigated their careers in academia and industry after completing their PhDs. They will share valuable insights and experiences that will guide us in our journey. So let's begin by welcoming our esteemed guests, speakers, Dr. Shikha Bagel, Assistant Professor at NIT Karnataka, and Dr. Sandeep Kumar Pandey, Senior Research Engineer at Kritim AI, Ola. So I would like to ask Dr. Sandeep to briefly introduce himself and share your journey with us.
Yeah, so thank you, and a very good evening to all. So,
Good
uh,
evening.
yeah, so I'm Sandeep, and like it's not been long since I graduated from IIT Guwahati. So it's been like I got my degree in 2022. So, yeah, so it's been a great roller coaster ride since you complete your PhD because while we are at PhD we focus at lot of things but we don't focus at like how to navigate our future course through industrial academia. So after I did my PhD under the guidance of Professor SRM Prasanna and Professor Hanuman Singh Shekhawat, and my PhD thesis was on speech emotion recognition with application to mental health. So uh, like uh, we explored several problems from academic point of view, academic research, identifying various emotion categories in speech, and then extending the speech emotion to multilingual classification, uh, which is a challenging problem considering the unavailability of corpora in all the languages. And then we further extended it to mental health diagnosis because your PhD thesis should not, kind of remain in some libraries or it should be actually put to some use. So you should try to find some application which can directly benefit the common people. So in that pursuit, we try to, explore mental health diagnosis field because emotions and mental health are very highly correlated. So in that direction, we did clinical depression diagnosis and Alzheimer's dementia recognition. So these two mental health we explored, and we got some good publications out of it as well. So this was my PhD. Also, like my PhD was mostly in speech processing domain, and towards the later part of my PhD, towards the last few chapters, it also included text domain. So NLP and speech both came into picture, and then it converted to multimodal. So this was my academic this one introduction. Now coming to industrial part, I uh, I was when I completed my PhD work and I started writing my thesis. So I decided to join industry to gain some experience. So I didn't wait to get complete my defense and then join an industry. I started as soon as I got a green flag from my supervisor that okay, your PhD work is done. You can try to write it. You can start writing a thesis on it now. So I joined for initially I joined a startup in Chennai, which is known as armsoftech.air. And then from there on, I joined Samsung Research, and now currently I am in Ola's Trutrim AI team. So I will share my screen and I will show you a few slides, which basically will show you what work I have done throughout these companies. So let me share my screen. My screen is visible.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
visible.
Okay. Cool. So, so this is the sorry. So the first job that I did was at armsoftech.air. I joined it in August 2021, and I was there for 9 months till March 2022. And my position was NLP Research and Solutions Specialist. So one thing to note here is that although my PhD was mostly in speech processing domain, but the very first work that I did was in NLP domain. Although speech and NLP are, I mean, closely related, but then again, it's not exactly the same. So in this job, this was mostly to kind of deal with call center calls and like automatically, kind of getting some inference from them. So my work mostly revolved around creating a voice bot for financial clients. So whenever it's like you get a call from some credit card, like if you have a credit card from HDFC Bank, suppose, and then you get a call that oh, your EMI is pending, and like how would you like to pay and all. So those type of automated IVR calls. So most of the time it's a rule based system. So it's implemented through if else statements, like if the response is yes, then this will be played. If response is no, then this will be played. So our job was to automate it using AI. So based on the user's response, and it will automatically try to identify what will be the next statement of the voice bot. So basically we're replacing a rule based system with an AI based system. So we used bot libraries such as Rasa, and we built on top of ASR and TTS. So there were other modules as well, since it's a voice bot. So both text to speech as well as speech to text was involved. So these three components collectively made a voice bot. So we successfully made a voice bot, and this one it got in production as well. So after my short stint here, I got an offer from Samsung. So the like I appeared for the interview for Samsung, and I joined Samsung in April 2022. So here in Samsung, my job was mostly mentoring R&D teams. So I had two R&D teams under me, uh, and I had to mentor them on the research aspect. So one of the team was towards the sales chatbot and service chatbot side. So since my prior experience from the previous company was mostly towards voice bots and chatbots, so the R&D team I got to mentor here was also related to chatbots. So I had to they were trying to imbibe this emotion based response generation, persona based response generation. So all these POCs, and how to integrate them in the dialogue flow. So those were the challenges that we explored in the chatbot team. And another team that I worked was with your daily schedule planner sort of thing. So automatically from your call transcript, it will try to, or your chat transcript, it will try to extract entities such as date, time, location, and then it will try to schedule some, like if two persons is having a chat regarding like meeting at some restaurant in the evening at 6 p.m. So it will try to automatically figure that out from the chat and put a schedule in the calendar for 6 p.m. for so and so location. So that was the other team, and I like we mentored, and we did a lot of research work there. So uh, that is also that this particular thing is in production in Samsung. And the chatbot thing, so chatbot thing, naturally before the start of LLMs and all those things, we were trying to do it in some other way. And since the LLM and all this got introduced, so the research focus shifted, and like the things had to be redone, like we had to redo it in the terms of LLM. So there were many research challenges, new research challenges which came with the coming of LLMs. So those were the work that we did in Samsung, and then further progressing, after a stint of around 2 years in Samsung, I decided that like I should try some new ventures, and I wanted to like work with core LLM technology, not just fine tuning. I wanted to be a part of a team where we can we build LLMs from scratch. We pre-train, we fine tune, and we do all sort of alignment, everything. So I wanted to work on that, and I wanted to learn those things. So I got an opportunity from Krutim AI. I guess if you have tried the Krutim Assistant, it's a ChatGPT based interface, similar to ChatGPT interface, which you can go and you can explore. But it's in multilingual form, and it's uh, kind of more oriented towards Indian languages and Indian scenario. So we are building LLMs, and we are building products around LLMs. And recently, Kutrim app is also launched, similar to the ChatGPT app, which you can use in your phone. Similarly, there's a Kutrim app, and you can use it for all sorts of day-to-day questions. So here in Krutim, my work revolves around aligning LLMs for safety of responses. We use several reinforcement learning techniques such as PPO, DPO, and we generate synthetic data around our objectives that we want to, align the LLMs with. Also, we are my work is like building and heading the foundational embedding model pre-training team also. So if you know, I guess if you people have worked with BERT, so BERT is a embedding model where we can put give a text sentence, and it will give you some features. So most of the embedding models that are present in the market, that are mostly for Indian languages and other for English and other languages. So there is a huge gap in the market for Indian languages, and we are working on building embedding model for our Indian languages as well. So, and that this is done from scratch, from both in architecture as well as data wise. So everything is trained from scratch here. And then there's LLM guard drilling is also there. So given a LLM query and response, we have to see if the response is the hallucination content is less, as well as it adheres to the facts. Also, the overall response of the overall sentiment of the response should not be negative. It should be positive. So it's a safe response for the user to consume. So those type of LLM guard drilling and all we are also working on. And as well as most of the industry use cases revolve around RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, because companies want Q&A type of thing on their own documents or on their own database sort of things. So that's where this RAG thing comes into play. So both LLM plus the static documents or the web documents, that combined will give you the RAG pipeline. So this is my general overview of the work that I have been doing. So also, this we can discuss later on as we get more questions. So moving on to the host.
Uh, as well, I have some question from students. So the first question will be the what are the core skills required for industry research that are used on day-to-day basis, according to you?
Yeah. So I can tell you from AI industry perspective, because I don't have much idea about what skills are needed in hardware or semiconductor based industries and all. So from AI based industries, see, one thing that you need to know is your full proficiency in Python. So because no matter if you are like working here for your lab experiments in MATLAB or any other language or something, but Python is must. So you should be very proficient in Python. And to be more precise, for AI industry, it's good to be more proficient in PyTorch as well. So PyTorch is a deep learning library. I guess most people of you are familiar with, like TensorFlow, PyTorch. So earlier TensorFlow was like used very widely, but in the last few years, PyTorch has gained pace, and it's more predominantly being used in the industry, because all the foundational language models and all the LLMs and everything that are being released, they are all written in PyTorch. So it's good to be proficient in Python as general, and for deep learning, or if you are into model training and model fine tuning, all those things, knowledge of PyTorch as well. Also, speaking of softwares, I mean, like what we do is in PhDs we don't use Git. So you should learn Git, because no matter which industry you go in, I mean, if you want to have your like codes, if you are writing codes, then you will have to use Git. So Git, will have to push your codes to Git. There will be code review. People will review your code and they will comment, and then you will have to correct and push an updated version, and then both the versions will be compared. So kind of all those things happen on Git, and Git is a very essential tool which everyone of you should know. And in fact, even you can make private repositories on Git, which is not viewable to other people. So you can push your PhD codes there as well for safekeeping, because you are sometimes your hard drive crash and something like that happens, so it's very difficult to recover the codes and all. So you can push your research codes to your private Git repositories. So Git is a very important skill that you must have. Apart from that, yeah, I mean, software-wise, Git, Python, PyTorch, these things are there. There are other skills which we will discuss.
Okay, so moving on to next question. Someone asked that is there any opportunity for internship at Ola Kutrim AI?
Yes, like I will give some clear answers regarding this. Uh, Free internship is available all the time. See, industries are very particular about paying money. Okay, to be very honest. So, until and unless there is an opening from industry side, they will not pay money. Suppose Ola has given an advertisement that okay, they are hiring internees, then they will pay money. But if you approach me, and if I put your resume up for an interview, and you are get selected as an internee, then there's a less chance that you will get money. But you will get good work, you will learn good industry related work and all. Okay, so depending on your time duration, 2 months to 6 months, you will get an internship. You will be closely working with the team at Protein, and you will be you will be doing exactly what we are doing in the company. So it's not like you will be given some intern related small work. No, it's not like that. You will be exactly doing what we are doing, and you will have access to all the GPUs and everything that we have. So that will be there, but the money aspect will come in. So if you are interested in learning, and you want to learn, and learning is your focus, then obviously there you can get an internship at Protein. But yeah, I mean, then Samsung also kind of launches internships every year, particularly for PhD students. So PhD students who are in their second year, or I guess third year, they can apply for those internships, and it is a paid internship. So the stipend is very attractive as well. So around, I guess, 1 lakh per month stipend you get in Samsung for PhDs. So the stipend is attractive, as well as you get mapped to the team of your research. So if you are doing, suppose, research in communications or 5G or something, so there is a 5G team in Samsung, you will be mapped to that team, and you will be working on the same thing which your research topic on. If you are working on some dialogues and something, there's a dialogue related team, so you will be mapped there. So that way you can the research the work that you do at Samsung can be part of your thesis as well. And its duration is, I guess, 6 months. So for 6 months you will have to be actively engaged. So yeah, there are internship opportunities. So if the company advertises, then there is a proper interview process that you have to follow, and then you will be selected for the internship. But if you apply through some employee, personally approaching me, and then sending me a resume, and then I inquire to my managers or superiors about the availability and all, then the chances are that you will get an internship, but the money aspect will be missing. I guess, hope this answers your question.
Okay, so moving on, like I have some question like how did your PhD from IIT Guwahati help you in your current role in the industry?
Yeah. So I PhD, see, generally, I mean, when we do PhD, we are doing it in a very specific topic. Someone is doing in, like I did, in mental health, and then someone is doing in some other aspect. So our PhD topics are very specific, but industries are not looking, specific things. They are looking a broader knowledge. So if you have, like, if my thesis is in speech emotion, I have used some AI algorithms to do speech emotion. the industry assumes that I am an AI expert, not a speech emotion expert. Okay, so you have to have broader skills, whatever your PhD in. So if you are whatever your PhD in, your topic this is very specific thing, but you if you are using AI, you have to have a broader knowledge of AI. They will see you as an AI expert. They will not see you as a speech expert or NLP expert or something like that. So yeah, so in that manner, my the thing that appealed to the industry was my multimodal aspect that I did. I had, as I explained earlier, towards the later part of my thesis, I explored both the speech and NLP aspect to do mental health diagnosis, and I came up with several methods to fuse these modalities and do a multimodal system. So during my interviews at Samsung, as well as during my interview at Arms of Tech, my first job, so these things played a very vital role because they saw that I can, no matter what the data type is, I can work with it and I can, effectively fuse the different data types and bring a unified methodology. So those type of thing they inferred from my work, which kind of helped, me project as an AI expert. So the takeaway from this is, no matter what your PhD thesis in, you have a broader area of the subject. So you should, it's not like what you are using a CNN or LSTM in your thesis. So you have knowledge only of CNN, LSTM. You should have knowledge of all the algorithms, because they will not hire you for just implementing a CNN or LSTM. They will hire you for they can ask you to do anything. They can ask you to make anything. So don't try to be, specific. For you, you can be specific for your PhD thesis, but you have to be, have a broader knowledge to get in the industry.
Thank you. Like how it is different from like academia? How the research work in academia is different from the industry?
I mean,
I
it's
want.
very different. It's like poles apart. We can say poles apart in the sense is research is very rapid in industry. It's like in academia, or while we are in like PhD, what we do is we take a topic and we do some experiments and we slowly come up with some inference in like 2 3 months, and then we decide, oh no, we go with this algorithm. So that type of thing, I mean, in industry, there is no time for that. You will have deadlines. So they are very, kind of unrealistic deadlines, because most of the times the managers sitting above you, they are non tech or non AI related people. So they will not understand how much research or how much thinking goes on in, like designing some experiments, writing code or doing it. Okay, for them is just data and some algo. So they will set a unrealistic deadline of suppose 2 weeks. Okay, you have thought of an idea, suppose you want to do speech emotion recognition. So they will set an unrealistic deadline of 2 weeks to get the first set of results. Okay, so but in industry, but in academia, it's not the same thing. In academia, you do a extensive literature survey first, and then you take months to do literature survey. 2 months, 3 months, you are reading some papers. You are kind of collecting the research. You are building up baselines. In industry, you most of the time what I have seen is 1 to 2 days of literature review. If you are saying that you want to do literature review, they will give you 2 days. Okay, do it. So that is the major difference that comes in. So when in academia we are doing research at a very chilled speed, I can say, because what I have seen, I mean, we take a very, our own sweet time of doing things. So but in an industry, you have to do it according to, your superior's time frame. Also, sometimes research and production goes hand in hand. So you are doing research on some feature, and that feature, suppose, has to go in a upcoming release. So you have to work according to the release deadlines, because you maybe experiments, ablation studies will go on later on for publication perspective, but for going into prediction, your system should be ready. So that's where I mean these things come in, like even like in Ola Krutrim, we did the LLM release. So the LLM we released, and after releasing, the evaluations were still on. So we were still benchmarking it, but we released it, and now like the paper writing and all these things have happened. So we will release a paper and all after the product has released. So it's quite different.
So, so work-life balance at your company. What about it?
See, work-life balance can be, seen broadly in terms of whether you are working in a startup or you are working in an MNC. So if you are working in MNCs, Samsung, or other maybe some good bigger companies, Microsoft, even Google, so your work-life balance is quite good. Okay, because these companies, while I was in Samsung, my day started at around 9 a.m. and it ended around 5 p.m. So after 5 p.m., if I head back to home, I will not get any calls, no meetings. So after 5 p.m., it's my day. So I am like accountable for work only at the time 9 to 5 while I am in the office premises or my working time. So that type of kind of work-life balance you get in MNCs mostly. Also, even while you are at office, there you have a lot of other activities which you can indulge in if you have bandwidth. You have games, various games, which you can play. Some outdoor games are there, indoor games are there. There are libraries. Their offices have sleeping pods where you can go and take 1 hour of nap. So, lot of luxury and, all those facilities are provided by bigger MNCs. Now, coming back to startups, have a little bit, disoriented work-life balance because, startups, the funding is kind of less compared to MNCs. So they want to build products fast. They want to, come to the market quickly. They want to earn revenue quickly. So in that race, things have to be, everyone have to work fast because things are dependent on each other. Suppose if I am working slow and five other people are dependent on the like algorithm that I will train and give, then other five people will be slowed down. So everyone will is pushing each other. Okay, when I will get the model from you, I am blocked on you. So things are moving very fast in startups. So work life balance gets a little messed up. But then when it comes to pay, startups pay more than MNCs. So if you have more money, then work life balance it tends to get messed up. So there are trade-offs, various trade-offs.
Okay, understand. So, next question, I want to ask that what are the some challenges you faced when transitioning from academia to industry?
Yeah, I mean, I can say like when I transitioned to the my first company, Arms of Tech, I didn't face much of a challenge because it was a small company startup. So basically, I had the same lab setup. So whatever setup I had in my lab, whatever softwares and all I was using, Keras and all those things, TensorFlow, same I used there in the to build models, train models, and so I mean, didn't get a very drastic change when I switched to my first job. I faced a drastic change when I switched to my second job, Samsung, where things are more organized because suddenly you have to work on GPU servers and then you have to do multi-node training and then there is a proper kind of work tracking through software such as Jira. So there's a tool known as Jira in which your everyday work is being tracked by your manager. You have to update your everyday work like I have done so and so and so and so thing today. Then you have to maintain the documentation of your work on some software such as Confluence. So and GitHub, you have to push your code to GitHub. I was not familiarized with GitHub, so I have to, when I suddenly they are asking me to push my code on GitHub and do the code review and everything. So it was a huge drastic change when I jumped to my second company. MNCs are more organized in terms of data and all these practices. So yeah, so that's why I said that even while in PhDs, we should develop a habit of Git because that's a very basic habit which you need in every company you go if you are into coding.
I just want to ask another question related to this topic is like where do you learn more in startup or the MNC, big
I
MNCs?
I learned more in Samsung, I can say, because startup I was basically kind of I learned. I didn't say that there was no learning at all, but it was the job was not research oriented, to be honest. The job was more take some model, train it and give it, I mean, quickly. Whatever gives the best result. They are not worried about what is inside the black box. They are just worried about the numbers. If the even if the numbers are coming from simple algos such as decision tree or SVM, they don't care. They just want the numbers. Okay, so no research, nothing. Pick anything, just train a model, give if you got the numbers, you give the model for production. That was the scenario in my first company. So, but in the second company, when I joined Samsung, there were a lot of learnings. I mean, one was this organizational things, that how the data management, the GPU management and all. I learned, training models on multi GPUs, because in PhDs we are not getting GPUs and all servers and multi-node GPU. We hardly get one GPU to train. So, training on multi GPU clusters and all, I mean, is not, I guess, something we are exposed in PhD. So got to know all those stuff. And then there every you have to keep up. I mean, you get to learn the entire, product flow, how you are, like, an idea is coming from your manager, you make a POC of the idea, that POC is demonstrated to superiors. If it's a yes from the superiors, then it goes to the product team. The product manager, he will come up with the, use cases, designs and everything. And then the final, design document will come to you and the team to make the final product. So the entire life cycle of a product, starting from, ideation, then POC, and then ultimately to production, I learned in Samsung. So the learning was more in Samsung compared to my first job. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, what are some what advice would you give a current PhD student who is considering a career in industry?
The first advice, and very important advice, I will say to everyone is, start doing lead code. Okay, start doing lead code. Basically, you brush up your data structures, practice lead code problems, because no matter what your position is, you get a research scientist position, you get a research engineer position, you get a data scientist position. Big companies like Microsoft, Apple, Google, everyone, the first screening round is your DSA round. They will eliminate you right there if you don't know DSA, or if your DSA is weak. Normally during the interviews, it will be a 1 hour round. They will give you two questions of DSA, half of hour each. And the questions will be mid-level to high level. Normally if you're a PhD, they will give you mid-level questions. And then half an hour you have to come up with a solution, and working solution, efficient solution. So lead code is something, I mean, which PhDs don't practice. I also didn't practice. I learned it the hard way. So that's why I'm giving you advice, that you still have time. You can devote some time to lead code practicing, because all these companies, they want lead code. The first round of screening for interviews is lead code. So your other core skills, your data skills and everything will come later on. If you can't pass the lead code round, those interviews will not be there. So you have to, for going to subsequent rounds, the first screening round is lead code, or your DSA round itself.
Thank you, Sandeep Bhaiya. And I would ask audience to ask some questions if you have any questions from audience. It seems there is no question. And so moving forward with Shikhadi, could you please introduce yourself and share your journey with us?
A very good evening to all of you. And first of all, before starting my presentation, I would like to thank the organizing team for having me here as a speaker. So, regarding my journey, so I did my PhD from IIT Guwahati, and similarly, my PhD thesis is also like related to speech-related area. And I'll not talk about much into technical details because maybe many of the audience might not be from the speech background. So obviously, my PhD was also full of ups and downs. And when I was preparing today's presentation, so during PhD, I attended one of the talk. I think some professor from CSE department. He was also giving this kind of talk, like related to PhD life. So he mentioned, if you are struggling in your PhD, then it's very good, because if your PhD life is very straightforward, then trust me, your coming future will be full of stress. So that's what like, and I have read this or this quote many times. Many of the great professors quoted this one. So if you are struggling with your PhD, don't worry. Just wait, everything will be fine. That's what I would say, because my journey was also full of that. And finally, towards the end of my PhD. Obviously, my thesis like came out, I would say, yeah, good, not very good, but then it was good. And see, when we are in PhD, we think, oh, once we complete our PhD work, then it is something we'll achieve like lot of things. But trust me, the real struggle start after that. What if? Okay, what is my future direction? Is it academia, industry? Lot of question comes. Okay, so I'll talk about all those directions in my slide. After my PhD, obviously, I also had a lot of these confusions, but somehow I could land up at postdoc in Leap, a postdoc at Leap Lab at ISC, and I had attended some of the talks of that professor earlier. So he's Professor Shriram Ganapati. He's very, like, I would say, he's a very chill kind of professor. Till now, he's like friend to me, and he never treated the like his PhD student like a student and professor kind of thing. So there, the lab environment is also very good, and research also, as Sandeep mentioned, there is a huge gap between academia research versus industry research. Yes, if I compare my PhD work, then it is true. But when I went to ISC, I worked in that lab, and I got to close interaction, collaboration with other, let's say, because whatever experience I'm telling, this is little bit biased towards speech because my research area is that. Okay, so when I got closer interaction with in IIT Madras, there is a very good speech research lab is there. They are doing fantastic job. They are doing industry kind of research there. In ISC also, IIT Bombay also. So nowadays, the kind of research we do in academic, we used to do in academic, is shifting towards a product oriented kind of research slowly. The reason is nowadays you have to write your project grant, like you have to write the project proposal, and as output, now it is something the ministry want you to show some demo. Oh, this is my problem statement, and towards the end, this is my outcome to the Indian society. So because of, I think, this kind of scenario, the whole scenario which was used to earlier in academia is slightly shifting towards this product oriented kind of thing. That is one thing. And related to my experience at ISC, it was a very good experience. Because see, that is also one question. People used to say, oh, do we need to do postdoc? Because that is a normal thing. If you are doing postdoc, then go outside India. True, I also agree with that. But if due to some reason, if you are not able to go outside, then try to find out good labs in India also, and try to join that group, because it will give you, if that group is very good, then it will give you a lot of recognition. So my work at ISC, I was when I joined ISC, so when you join some, like, obviously that question, oh, I joined postdoc in Indian Institute, okay, where everyone was going for foreign postdoc. But then slowly it came out very, I would say I was fortunate enough. It was very good experience for me in terms of I organized research challenges, and this was again related to speech, and I worked on very contemporary research issue that way, like that on that problem statement. Lot of good industries are working, let's say Microsoft, they are hugely investing and they are working in that direction. So the problem statement was very new, and we organized few research challenges at global conference. So for speech, InterSpeech is one of the very good conference. So luckily we got our challenge accepted, and I was leading that challenge. So when like, obviously it was a hard time because we had a very neck to neck deadlines for that running that challenge. But when I presented my work at InterSpeech, it is, just imagine, it is a top tier conference in your research where the researchers across, like, across globe, they are there. And when you're presenting your, I still remember my room was full of, like, there are a lot of people, they could not get the seat to sit. They were standing in that room. And after my presentation, when the question answer round came, many of those researchers came, are you planning to run the second phase of this challenge? At that time, we were not clear whether we'll be running the second phase or not, but they said, please try to run this challenge for the, like, next year also. And luckily this year also we are running this challenge. we got a lot of appreciation, and obviously because the work was also good, and then we got good publications also, and still we are doing a good work there. And due to this project, I got collaboration with like in close interactions, I would say, with a lot of good researchers in India and some of the good researchers from outside India also. And I was doing postdoc also, and it was around more than 1 year. And I just started applying for academic jobs. Okay. I was not, I was, I like based on my colleagues' experience, I thought, okay, maybe now if I'm applying, maybe after 1 year I'll get some position. That was my thought. So I just started applying jobs. I was like, okay, luckily I got this position, and it was my first interview for I appeared for this any kind of faculty interview here, and the panelist was also like very good. And then obviously I'll talk about more into these slides when I'll be sharing the slide. So after immediately after ISC, I joined here, and like this is my current role. Now I would like to share my screen, and because we had some questions I received from the organizing committee. So I tried to cover those questions in my slide. Okay. So just bear with me if my presentation goes a little bit longer. Is it visible?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, I'll obviously cover most of the things related to academic career paths after PhD. So what are the opportunities and how you can navigate your uh, PhD journey, or maybe if you are at a starting of the PhD, then it's good. You have a lot of time to navigate your PhD journey. This is one of the most frequently asked questions. Okay, academia versus industry, especially when you are towards the end of your PhD life, as well as in postdoc. Okay, so this question was like I was asked this question many times when I was in postdoc. Why, professors also, what is your goal? And when I joined ISC in one of the few meetings, my professor also asked me, what is your goal? And then I said something, then like I'll discuss what was his views or opinion on the postdoc. Okay, so when I'll come to that slide, I'll discuss about that. So when I was deciding whether academia or industry, I was pretty like more or less clear about academia. Okay, I wanted to go to academia, but still considering the scenario of Indian academics. Okay, it's very hard to get into centrally funded institutes. So definitely when you are graduating and still you don't have any like offer in your hand, the first question comes to you. Okay, meanwhile, what is the okay like what is the alternate option? So I was also thinking about industry when I was about to graduate from PhD. So I started applying in industry also as well as in postdoc because I wanted to have this postdoc. So then again, I got this opportunity in ISC. But that was a time when I was again, that questions I was asking myself. There are two ways, two paths. One is industry, one is academia. Okay, and specifically for my research speech, industry is also very good. Okay, there are a lot of good opportunities out there. And as Sandeep also mentioned, there are very good, like let's say Microsoft research and Samsung R&D. They are pretty much good in speech related areas. And many of my seniors are also working there after postdoc. So I was thinking all those directions. So I used to interact with my seniors. Then how is their experience? Then I figure out few points, and then I was asking those questions to myself. How would I feel about those points? So I have just listed out few of those points. One is the flexibility. Okay, as a person, how would you behave in a like are is your like I have seen few people who's like perform very well in a pressurized environment. Okay, I have seen those kind of people, and there are few people when they are in a very flexible kind of environment, they perform very well. So what kind of person are you? Are you enjoying working in a flexible environment or not? That is the first question you should ask. Work independence in academia, you are getting a lot of work independence. Let's say during your PhD, you are working on something, and towards the end of PhD, you are having obviously some idea. Okay, I want to work in this area. I want to go to deep into this direction. So if you are having some problem, then if you're going to academics, you will get freedom. Freedom in the sense you are on your boss. You can choose your problem statement. You can hire your staff. So a lot of things are there. But if you are going into industry, that independence is slightly, restricted, because industry is a system or the product oriented industry. So you have to work according to the your company vision. So that freedom is little bit restricted. So you just ask this question to yourself: what are the job responsibility? So that is also one of the important thing. Being in academia, what is your role? Okay, let's say if you are joining in some good MNC, what is your expectation? For example, Sandeep mentioned you should be little bit good enough in coding. Okay, because initially you have to build a prototype to show, okay, this is the expected output to your team. So so these are the few directions: the coding, and then just some like knowledge across breadth about a topic. All those skills are required, or the responsibilities, if you are joining as, in an MNC. But for example, if you are joining some academic institutes, so being a faculty, teaching is, if it is not ISC, obviously, if it is not ISC, then IIT, NITs, triple ITs, or any teaching institute, uh, teaching is one of the most important aspect. Okay, that is one thing. The second one is research. Nowadays, because you have to arrange for your own funds, you have to write a lot of research projects, you have to arrange your own funds. So research is one of the biggest aspect of your responsibility. It is not something you just go and then take lectures, your job is done. No, you will not get promotions. And then initially, when you are joining some institute, it is for some contractual, be it IIT or anywhere. It is on contractual for 5 years. You have to be permanent. And apart from that, some administrative responsibilities are definitely there. So these are the, just be clear about what are your job responsibilities. Salary, obviously, there is no, like, there is a clear cut answer. In industry, they pay you like very handsome amount of salary, but in academics, you know the range. Work life balance, this is, I think it should be one of the very important factor when you are deciding academia versus industry. And also in industry, which industry? Because as Sandeep also mentioned, and I've interacted with few of my seniors, they're very happy with that industry, kind of like there is a very good work life balance is there. So just see all the aspects, being in academia and industry, how is the work life balance? Because work life balance is also varies from institute to institute, academic institute to institute. So these are few things. The job security is one of the directions. So these are the I could think of while I was preparing the slides. There can be other factors also. So just ask these questions to yourself, and then just try to understand what is your inclination. Then you will have some not clear cut idea, but at least some inclination. Okay, where do you want to go? So when I was preparing this slide, uh, so recently one like, what do I say? One story came to my mind. So recently we were attending one interview here in NIT, so one meeting here in NITK. These were like newly joined all the faculties with director sir. And director sir asked us, why did you choose academia over industry? And then after having some discussion, and then he said, if you just chose academia over industry just because you don't want to face industry pressure, then you are highly mistaken. You are at wrong place, because the academia is drastically changing from its previous version. It is also as competitive as industry. So that is the like final remark I would say here for academia versus industry. So okay, let's say irrespective of your academia versus industry decision, there are few aspects I observed during my my time at IIT Guwahati and ISC also. Being in PhD, we are heavily involved with our own problem. Okay, we are just working like within a small lab group, and we are very good at our PhD problem statement. Okay, so that means we are technically very good, but when it comes to presenting your work, I felt like we are not very good at like how to explain efficiently our work to an audience. That's one of the missing aspect. Even in uh, I observed few of the presentation in conferences also when some industry person is presenting versus some academic person is presenting. So that is one of the things we should learn, how to present our the same content. It should be less text should be there. How to present a result in a more analysis kind of framework. For example, how to what should be the appropriate graph which should be used in our slides. So these are the presentation skills I would say required very much, be it academic or industry. Because see, in academia also, uh, specifically for NIT presentation, we hardly get 10 to 15 minutes just to present our research journey. Just imagine 10 to 15 minutes, we have to present our PhD work, whole 5 to 7 years of work, and then postdoc work also. Then it is not easy. Then, when you will reach that point, you will find that it is not easy just to present your work in a very small number of slides. So just try to work on this aspect, and also try to attend conferences as many as possible. Like conferences means conferences, workshops, seminars, talks, because this will give you idea what is going on in your at least research area. Uh, if it is within a like Indian scenario, then what is the trends in India? And also if it is international conference, then what is the trend across globe? Okay, so obviously, like when I was in IIT Guwahati, obviously we did not get that much fund for attending international conference. So there are some schemes also you can apply for that. And for us as a speech researcher, if you're attending very good conference, for example, InterSpeech or ICAS, Google, Microsoft, and IBM also, like very good companies used to give travel grant. You have to apply for the travel grant for attending these conferences. Okay, so there are a lot of opportunities. You explore that and never miss that chance. And one of the biggest uh, important aspect is build your own network. At least try to build your own network within your community. Within Indian research community, you should be known. That is the you cannot survive without your own community. That is over the time I have seen it is very important, because once you are after your PhD, you would get lot of opportunity if you are have a personal context with great professors, because academic industry is something they do not advertise lot of jobs on. There is no predefined structures are there that, oh, you go to this website, you will get all the information about that. This is only possible if you are having lot of connections, then you will get lot of information. That is one thing. And also, when Sandeep was presenting, one point came to my mind: try to have some industry internship during your PhD. See, this trend I have seen in ISC, and it is very good for PhD students. At IIT Guwahati, I did not see this trend, and I was also not aware about it. But in ISC, at least at the LEAP lab, the professor encouraged, even they just, you can say, no, you have to do internship, industry internship at least for 6 months. Then you will have that idea, okay, where, like, what is the difference between academic research and industry research? Then only you can cope up and compete with the industry research. That is the one of the important aspects. If try to contact your supervisor and try to find out the opportunity and have a 6 month internship. Now, I'll talk about some benefits and challenges. Benefits I have already like little bit discussed about those, but what are the challenges being in academics? Less salary, obviously, but you may need to work during weekends. That is there. As Sandeep mentioned, after 5 p.m., if you are in good MNC, 9 to 5 is your job duration. But in academia, it is something if there is some deadline, there is no weekend. Okay, because you are running, you can just imagine in such a way. After, let's say, if you are having few PhD students, you are having some projects, so you are running a small business. So you have to be available for your PhD student, for your master student. You have to think about your projects. Okay, so these are the few like things you may need to work during after 5 p.m. also during weekends also, and also arrange your own grants. Here in NITK, what I've observed, not in NITK also, in IITs also, nowadays uh, you if you want to run your lab, you have to arrange for funds. That is mandatory requirement. Otherwise, you will not have that much of freedom. You will not have that much of logistics. So these are the, I would say, some challenges, or maybe you can say these are creating some pressures. Now, if you are again, if you're going for academia, then next question comes: is the postdoc mandatory for academia? Okay, why this mandatory word I have wrote in bold, because these questions I was asked, and then I when I was transition phase from PhD to postdoc, I was also searching for this. I was also interacting with a lot of my seniors. Is it mandatory? And I was trying to just go on the IITs or NITs faculty websites. Okay, what was their trajectory? I used to find out that mapping. So I would say yes, it is not mandatory, but it is preferred. Okay, there are few profiles I have seen immediately after graduating from PhD. They joined some private institute, and from there they got into IIT system. Okay, so there are few cases are there, but majority obviously they did their postdoc. Majority from outside India, and few from from Indian universities. So now it is again you have to do some little bit what do I say, homework. What is a trend in your area? And based on my experience, not specifically for engineering background, I have interacted with science students also, specifically from ISC. For them, one postdoc is not sufficient. They have to do 2 or 3 postdocs to get into very good academic institutes. So that is the current scenario. Okay. Okay, just forget about postdoc for academia. So when I joined Leap Lab, so my professor asked me, what is your goal? Is it academia or industry? And I was like in my mind, obviously academia because I have joined postdoc. So I answered to him, yes, I want to go in academia. That's why I joined postdoc. Then he said no. Like this was his statement, a bridge between your PhD and your future career. Then he explained to me it is something a buffer timing where you are expanding yourself from your PhD version. In your PhD, you're working heavily working on your problem statement. Okay, you are not expanding your research direction to relatively related fields. But in postdoc, you are working on your problem statement. Along with that, you need to supervise PhD students in your lab. Okay, you need to assist your professor while writing projects, grant proposals, and in some cases, if you are associated with a project where industry involvement is also there, then you have to have that flavor of working closely with industry. So there are a lot of exposures you are getting from a postdoc. So according to him, it was a time where it was a time when you need to identify again to revisit that question, academia versus industry. So like still if you are confused, then just do not worry, just join postdoc, and then you can ask this question again to yourself. Again, come back to postdoc. So there are different kinds of postdoc. One is academic postdoc. Let's say we are doing PhD from IIT Guwahati. This is an academic institute where some we study some degrees, and then some research is also going on. So that is the academic scenario. There is some industry postdoc. So for example, as Sandeep mentioned, there are some sense and research they gave some internship. Okay, along with that, if you are working on a research profile in some very good industry, then your experience will be counted as a postdoc when you are applying for faculty position. Okay, so that is considered as an industry postdoc. Condition applied, it should be recognized research institute. And the third one is research institute postdoc. That means it is purely research institute. So I have given some examples also. For example, EDF in Switzerland, it is a research institute. INRIA, CRIM, Fraunhofer, A star. So obviously these examples I have given from my research area. Okay, again. So you need to find out what are the different institutes for these different categories. So, and all those, irrespective of you are doing research from any, like, be it from academia, industry, or research, the whole experience will be counted when you are applying for faculty position. Okay. Now, how to apply for postdoc? That is also, I would say there are, if I categorize, there are two directions. One is professor used to advertise, oh, in my group there is a vacancy, interested candidate can apply. This is one of the way. So let's say if you can just, if you go to LinkedIn, you can say open for work, and what kind of jobs you are looking, you can just switch in, like switch that option on. Based on the keywords, whatever you have given, they'll notify you, okay, this research position is currently open in this, like whatever is the location. So this is one of the way. Another one is specifically area wise. Let's say if you are looking for postdoc in Europe, there is a job, job.uk.ac.in, something website is there. You can go and register there. So all the jobs are posted in that website. So likewise, you need to figure out different platform and you need to register there, because it is not possible to go every time, every professor's website and then check what are the current positions. This is one way. The another one is towards the end of your PhD, you know who are the famous professors working in your area. And let's say out of those, you are interested to work with some of them. So the another way is writing or drafting an email and sending them directly to that professor. That is one way. But here I would suggest, if your supervisor know those professor, then request your supervisor to introduce yourself to those. Because what happens when you are directly sending an email to those professors, they are getting a lot of emails every day. They would not get time that, oh, they are replying to each one of those emails. So many times you are just keep on sending emails, but you are not getting any replies for them. So this is like normal trend I have seen with my colleagues and with my seniors also. So you have to, it is better you take your help if that path is possible for you. And when you are writing that email, just be very careful. Okay, that is also a tricky part. That is a very, like, again, a lot of discussion altogether a topic. But then just try to search how to write that email when you are approaching a professor. It should be brief enough so that you are highlighting all your research contribution, and it should be attached with your CV, with your research like proposals. So you have to do a lot of research for that. The another important question is, I got to know when I was applying for teaching jobs, does the QS ranking of your postdoc institute matters? I would say yes, specifically for NITs. I have seen in the application form, they were asking what is the QS ranking of your postdoc institute. And they mentioned in some of the advertisement, it should be below 500. Okay, so these are the information I'm giving you. So just keep in your mind whenever you are, choosing a postdoc institute. But in for IITs, I have never seen this kind of like restriction was there. And the another question is, do I need to arrange for fellowship? Fellowship means postdoctoral fellowship. So my next slide is related to that only. So again, for having postdoc, there are, in terms of fellowship, there are two directions. One is you are applying for fellowship in collaboration with some professor, and if you are getting that fellowship, through that fellowship, you are going to join some research lab. The other one is professor is already having funds, and you are just approaching to that professor, and he'll take some interviews, and if you're qualified, then you are hosted there. So these are two ways. If you are going through this applying for fellowship path and going for postdoc, it is, what do I say, it is very good, because you might have seen many times professor write down like in your emails, like let's say this fellowship. So for example, I've seen CV Raman postdoctoral fellowship, got this fellowship. So this is something is your achievement, because getting these fellowships are very competitive. So along with these fellowships, you are getting a lot of advantage also if you're going outside India. Okay, so you can explore those directions for your specific research institute, specific also for your specific research area. So for when you're applying for fellowships, you have to contact one host institute along with that host professor. So let's say I want to do postdoc in let's say Europe, and I have listed down few universities. Out of that, I have finally come up with one professor. I am really interested working under him or her. So I can directly contact to that professor. I'm so and so. I'm like interested to work under you, and also I want to apply this fellowship. Obviously, no professor would say no. They would be really happy if you're coming with your own fellowship, because they'll not provide you any fund from their their whatever projects funds. So just try to get in touch with one of the professor if they are ready, and then you have to write one proposal, you have to submit it. So that is the overall procedure. For Indian scenario or the Indian academic systems, there are some, the CV Raman postdoctoral fellowship is very like prestigious fellowship. And I've come across this IIT Gandhinagar Early Career Fellowship, and they are with respect to Indian scenario, they are giving pretty much good salary also. Again, pretty much good salary means if you are comparing with academic scenario. Okay, don't compare with the industry. So these are the few fellowship options. There might be many other. Now, how to apply for academic jobs? Okay, so once you are done, you are sorted with your postdoc and then whatever. Now the stage comes, if you're really interested for academics, how to apply? So one of the biggest challenges, how to keep track of these current openings. Okay, because see, if you are targeting India, so there are like many IITs, many NITs, triple ITs, like that means many centrally funded institute and also very good private institutes are also. So how to keep, it is not possible every time you visit a particular website and see, oh, is there any vacancies opening or not? So the good practice is there are some websites again for Indian scenario. You go and then register there. There are some WhatsApp groups also. So as I'm a part of that WhatsApp group, so they used to keep on posting, oh, there is a new vacancy in this institute. There is a new vacancy there. So that group is dedicated for faculty positions only. So you should go and join those groups and then like those kind of websites, so that it would be easier to have a track of those positions. Now, the another important document when you are applying, obviously, one is that your mark sheet, all your research papers, all these are there, but you have to write down at least two documents. One is research statement and another one is teaching statement. That is again another topic, how to effectively write down your research and teaching statement. So there are many talks are also available on YouTube, and many blogs are also there. So you can take a help of those when you are like going to write those documents. The only thing is you have to somehow link your past experience. Let's say if you're writing down research statement, how is your past research experience is going to help you to avail or to go for future grants or future research, and how past teaching experience is going to help you to take some particular course in your let's say if you're applying to an ITK, how is it going to help you the NITK? So somehow you have to link your past with your future. It is not something you are saying like where you're saying very nice things in your research or teaching statement, but in past nothing is there. So you have to be very careful because these are the two important factors for shortlisting. And if I talk about the typical format of faculty interview, so okay, I'll talk about first in NITs or triple ITs. So basically, in uh, many of the like in some of the NITs or triple ITs, they used to conduct written test. Again, this is not always. It is depending on the how many applications they are getting for that particular advertisement. They might have mentioned that we'll conduct some written exam, but let's say if the number of applications are very less, they'll directly go for interview. So that is the first thing. You might need to go through this written exam, and the syllabus is GATE syllabus. After that, some of the NITs are directly going for interview. Also IITs and ISC also, they are directly going for the interview. Here in NIT case, you get hardly 10 to 15 minutes to showcase you need to give your brief introduction, just show your whole research within this 10 to 15 minutes, and then you have to explain one or two papers into detail also. This much in just 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. And also sometimes they ask you to club research and teaching presentation in a single slide, and sometimes they ask you to split it 10 minutes research presentation, 10 minutes teaching presentation on board, or maybe whatever. That is a format. Once you are clear, in some institute this round is a what do I say, if you clear this round, then only you will go to the second round. Okay. And in some institute, let's say for example, if I talk about my experience, it was not a what do I say, all the candidates who appeared for the first round, they also got the opportunity to interact with direct interview with director sir. So these are slightly variations are there. And if I talk about faculty interview for IITs and ISCs also, I have attended few of the talks in ISC. The first talk used to be the technical round, that is 1 hour, on an average 1 hour technical round. You have to showcase your research into detail. And it is an open call. Anyone from the institute can attend that talk and they can ask you questions. This is although some of more or less trend in IITs, but nowadays in some of the IITs, they say, oh, you have to appear for 30 minutes presentation, where they specifically mention you have to, within first 2 minutes, you briefly describe yourself and your academic background. And let's say after that 15 minutes, you have to explain your best one or two research paper. Likewise, they just give a landscape of 30 minutes presentation, after that followed by technical questions. So here in this research and teaching presentation also, once you are done with that, they can ask you questions related to basic courses, that is undergraduate core courses. And that is one of the biggest challenge, at least I feel. I don't know about like others. At least I feel, because when you are investing your PhD, you are investing, let's say, many years in your PhD. After that, you are having some postdoc in a more or less single topic. So my area is a speech. So I would say, let's say, signal processing. I might not, remember the basic electronics, which I used to study during my bachelor's. So this is very tricky. So, but at least I would suggest uh, just find out core subject related to research area. For example, I am from speech processing, then I can say signal processing, signal and system, linear algebra, probability. Okay, these are the few core subjects which is related to my research area, as well as undergraduate core courses, because they ask you which subjects you are comfortable you can teach to undergraduate. So that is their question. So you have to go prepare what are those subjects, and then slowly start preparing those subjects. And see, if they start asking you a question, it again varies, because some of my colleagues, they shared, even if you say, sir, I'm prepared with these subjects, but there might be cases they'll ask you something from basic electronics. So it is something, interview is something very subjective. And the other thing is departmental interaction. So in IITs, they used to, some of the IITs conduct departmental interactions, means like they call you for some interview. Before that, they have at least one day so that you can interact with all the department faculties one-on-one. This kind of departmental interaction is there. And if you have cleared all those rounds, then you appear for the final round, that is the direct assessment. Okay, so if I just summarize, NITK, NIT or triple IT system is first day, mostly research and teaching presentation, that is around 15 minutes or at least half an hour. After that, the second round, that is final round with director sir, there might be like a lot of panel. Like for me, it was around 9 to 10 panel members were there, and some external experts were also there. So that is a final round. And if you go talk about IITs, it might vary slightly. Okay, so let's say they might ask you to appear for a research presentation, 1 hour presentation. If you clear that one, they'll call you for technical round. This first presentation can be online for IITs, or but for this technical round, they'll prefer you go to that institute in person. And if you also clear that one, then the final round. So this is the overall summary. And there is one line, Indian academic system is flexible. Why I have highlighted in red color? Because see, I am sharing my experience or whatever I have gathered or while I was interacting with my colleagues and seniors, I found out they might have written something in their advertisement, but do not take it as a gold standard. If you feel that what do I say, you want to apply, you just apply. Your job is to apply as many as institute you can, because you don't know, they might have written something. Let's say there is one age criteria, 35 age criteria, specifically for IITs to get into as an assistant professor. But there are many candidates, like not many candidates, but significant amount of profiles I have seen whose age is greater than 35, because they had very good research or the academic profile, they got shortlisted and then they cleared the interview also. Like that, there are many things. Let's say if you're applying, you say, oh, my research area is not mentioned. Okay, so if you have someone, try to contact in that institute and figure out whether what is the requirement. Okay, so I would suggest just keep on applying. That is the, what do I say, my experience so far with the academic Indian system. So that's all from my side, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Shikhadi. You almost answered all my questions. By the way, like we have a question from audience. Like, do you need to have good journal papers when applying for postdocs?
See, it is not mandatory. Obviously, if you have good journals, it is very good. But it is not something mandatory. If you are having one journal also, then like people will at least try to find out during interactions or the interview. They would try to check your knowledge in your field, because I've seen few cases where they had at least no journal paper, but those some of the papers under review. Okay, so they got the postdoc position. So it is not mandatory. But definitely, if you are going for faculty position, it is mandatory. I'm talking about postdoc only.
Okay. As I said, you almost answered my questions, but do you need to have journal? I have a question that like how you are balancing your teaching, research, and service life in your current role.
See, still this is new for me. Okay, but obviously little bit challenging, because in your PhD you are having your PhD work only. That time also we used to complain, oh, we have lot of work, or but see, when you cross that phase, when I was in postdoc, then also like, oh, it is little bit challenging. Now it is with like, if I'm comparing my current role versus postdoc versus PhD, then I was much free in my PhD life, I would say. So this is something, as you grow in your life, your responsibility will increase. Now you have to plan your, what do I say, day, or maybe you have to plan your at least something. You have to have some to-do list, and every day you come to office, or maybe if you're starting your work, just check the to-do list. and then highlight some of the very important, oh, today I have to complete this task, or maybe these are on the higher priority. So these are the few practices you can have a track of everything. Let's say I can fix, oh, this is my working hours. It's from, let's say, 9 to 5 p.m. This is my working hour. After 5 p.m., I'll not work until unless it is very urgent. So in that way, you have to be a little bit restrict to yourself also.
Someone also asked that can you get into NIT with only PhD with one journal?
Yes. One journal, I don't know. See, it again depends on. Uh, See, there are a lot of factors. There is no one-to-one mapping. Your profile, I have seen such cases where candidate is having very good profile, but they are not getting into an IT system. Okay, so there is no one-to-one. There are a lot of flexibilities there. One is the number of applications received by the institute for that particular advertisement. Second one is there any vacancy in your research area in that institute or in that department? Okay, again, there is some reservations are also there. If you're applying in journal, there is a slightly different case. So there are a lot of factors are there. So, but having one journal paper without postdoc, I would say a little bit difficult. Little bit difficult. And in NITs also, they are preferring postdoc. They like that is their priority. They are preferring postdoc. At least you are having 6 months of postdoc. That's all.
Audience, any question you have, please raise your hand. Okay, we have one.
हाँ संदीप भैया
हाँ, okay.
तो संदीप भैया मुझे ये क्वेश्चन पूछना था कि जैसे अगर आप कोई इस टाइप का रोल है क्या इंडस्ट्री में जहाँ पे आपको जाके सिर्फ मतलब मैथ्स से रिलेटेड ही काम करना हो, जैसे आप ऐसा कर सकते हो कि अगर कोई मैथमेटिकल प्रॉब्लम है तो आप उस टीम को हेड करो और उसका सॉल्व करो, बट जो कोडिंग पार्ट है वो आप मत करो।
हाँ, I mean, I know people like
मैथमेटिकल रिसर्च से रिलेटेड।
mathematical research. I understood. So basically, not the coding part, but the mathematical research part. So I have one colleague who works in Walmart. So Walmart, mein, he has a similar type of role which you are describing. So his work is core research only. So I mean, whatever in matlab product, obviously, but in industry, you will always have to work towards the product side. So I mean, independent research बहुत ही कम होता है. In particularly in Google and maybe bigger MNCs, they allow for independent research, but most of the other companies they are more towards product. So as long as you are your research is somehow contributing to their product, so you can completely do a mathematical research and leave the implementation and other details to some other people in the team. So that is I mean possible, and that is available as well. In fact, if you have a more mathematical aptitude, so I mean these days interviews are more oriented towards those only. So because I mean learning AI and all has become very easy, so the interview focus has mostly shifted towards the mathematical understanding of the AI algorithms and all. So it's good to have mathematical aptitude, and there are certain roles which are totally oriented towards mathematical research.
थैंक यू भैया।
Uh, Mitan Das, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
So, good evening, Sikham. Can you please tell that whether PhD is mandatory in academia, that is, in any state of the India for assistant professor job?
Yes. Even let's say there are some what do I say? There is obviously there are two categories. One is centrally funded institutes, and there are in each of those states you are having some government engineering institutes also. They are also now they are forcing their faculties to and get at least get enrolled somewhere for PhD program if they are not. So it is mandatory now. You
And
won't. Yes.
for getting PhD, how many journal paper or conference or research paper is needed?
Uh, See, it again depends. It is a requirement set by the department, also requirement of your supervisor. There is no as such hard and fast rule. But if I talk about on an average, then you can say two good journals are on an average. This is a requirement: two good journal and some conferences. That is the few thing. But if you're having one journal, because see, towards the end of your PhD, definitely you have done some work which can convert into more than one journal. Okay, so if you are having at least one journal, but some of the work you can write in future, that is also possible depending on your doctoral committee if they allows you and your supervisor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Tamanna, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, my question is for Shikha ma'am. I wanted to ask whether going for postdoc is in doing postdoc in India or like abroad. Like, is it mandatory to go abroad? Like in doing postdoc in India, is it not satisfactory for academic position?
See, obviously, again, I would say it is not mandatory kind of thing that you have to go outside India. I also did my postdoc from Indian Institute of Science, but because our academia is getting into centrally funded institute is very challenging, and it also varies from area to area. So now you are in a race. Okay, if I put it in very crude words, you are like you are having many competitives. So you are in a race. You have to increase your profile. That is the only criteria. So normally that is the convention. I would again say convention that if you have some experience, let's say if you are doing PhD from IIT Guwahati, they would prefer you if you would have done postdoc from outside India. The reason being you are familiar with the Indian academic research environment, but there might be if you're working somewhere in outside India lab, you might be bringing some interesting aspect which is not there in Indian scenario. That, and also I think that is because I have asked this question to many of the professors and few of my seniors also. This is one of the answer I could logical answer. I was convinced with that. And the other factor is, see, this is some notion. Again, if you are going to some university which is not recognized in IIT's applications also, if in panel, it might be possible someone from other area will be there. Okay, so they might not know some good research institutes in your research area. So you have to specifically tell them it is one of the important research institute in my area. Okay, so if you are doing postdoc from such an institute where QS ranking is very low, it is not mentioned anywhere on paper. Okay, so this is something I felt it will create some impact for you. So it is not mandatory. Again, the important factor specifically for IIT, even if you are doing research or maybe postdoc from Indian Institute and your research experience is very good, you will definitely get shortlisting call from IITs. That is my experience.
Okay,
So yeah,
okay,
so you
thank
have
you.
to, yes.
Mm. Priyanka, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, I want to ask whether we can do postdoc as a part-time. Like I am doing PhD also as a part-time.
PhD as a part-time. Okay. Postdoc as a part-time, I have never seen actually so far, but it's interesting. I'll ask some professor then. Okay, but I have never seen so far postdoc as a part-time. Like, I think I do not have any answer for that.
And
You can
ma'am,
do one thing. See, one thing I would say here, uh, if you are doing, or if you can talk to some professor, if they can allow you to work from home, that option is there. But having a proper postdoc part-time, That kind of thing I have never seen.
And ma'am, this part-time PhD, whether they have less value when it comes to, I mean, regular students who are doing while applying for.
See, little bit maybe, but again, if your profile is strong in terms of research publication, everything boils down towards research. That is for sure. Okay. If you are having post or a PhD as a part time, you need to first of all you need to go and check current advertisement and then identify whether they have mentioned part time or not. So I'm not clear whether they have mentioned part time PhD or not allowed. I'm not clear, but you have to go and check. If they
Actually,
allows you, yes.
I think on degrees they will not mention it as a part-time or regular. Because I
Yeah,
had my
that.
MTech. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Can you please come again? Your voice was very low.
Yeah, actually, I have done my MTech also as part-time. So
Mhm.
on degrees, it is not mentioned particularly that it is a part-time or it is a regular one. But
Oh,
I don't.
then it is a good thing for you if it is not mentioned on your degree. Then it is a good thing you apply because you are having a PhD degree. You apply if that is there.
Okay, PhD, I'm not sure. I mean, I have not yet completed, so I don't know how to do.
Then inquire in your. You are from ID Guwahati or some other institute.
IIT Guwahati.
Then you inquire in the academic section. Okay, whether they'll write it part time or not. If they'll not write, then it's a good win-win situation.
And whether they give like some advantage if you have industry experience.
Yeah, that is there. Nowadays, even in my interview, final round, director sir asked me, okay, introduce yourself. And then the next question was, do you have any industry experience? Because see, the scenario of academia is now getting shifted. So they also prefer, because during PhD, you are having sufficient amount of exposure to academic area or the academic research. Also, if you're having some exposure to industry, that is again there are something like if you are joining some startup, then there is some rule your experience would be counted as half of, let's say you have worked for 1 year, then your experience would be counted as how, like 6 months only. So if you are working in a very recognized research industry, then it would be counted as 1 year. So yes, it is preferred over academic postdoc in some cases.
Whether the experience after PhD only is counted or like I am pursuing also and I'm working, so whether it will be counted or not.
See, there is a term postdoc. That means after doctoral degree. That is a postdoc. And there is some, what do I say? When you are writing or how they calculate your postdoc experience is from the date of your defense. You can have an experience while having your PhD. That is not a problem. You can write down in your CV also, I am having, let's say, 2 years of postdoc experience above whatever industry experience, and 1 year is having overlap with your PhD. That is good when you're applying for postdoc or some industry job. But when you're applying for government institutes, then they will count your postdoc experience from the day of defense, like from the date of defense. Most of the case it happens.
Okay,
So, but
moving on to our next question. Like Debashish Jyoti, you can unmute yourself. This is the last question we're taking.
Hello, Shihadi. So,
Hi,
Devashish.
hi, hi, Devashish.
Yeah. So, yeah, I had basically three questions. One is, what is the importance of, or the, will the industry experience add in the CV weightage? First question. The second question is, uh, like, what is what is the approach or a way to build your academic network? And the third question is, like, what is the teaching presentation like, is in its like, what do you have to do in the teaching presentation? So these are the three questions.
Okay, so the first one was I forgot your first
Yeah,
question.
first one was uh, does the industry experience add any weight in the CV for academic application?
Yes. See, I'll combine first question and the second one, that how to enhance your profile for academic position. See, ultimately, when you are applying for academic positions, your research publication is mandatory. Because when I was graduating from PhD, I was planning to join industry to have some experience. But then I was lacking in terms of publication at the time. And the publication is mandatory for academic position. So you have to think, if you are having sufficient publication from academia as of now, and if I talk about electrical department, on an average, you should have a very good journal. 5 number of journals are required. On an average, this is I'm talking. This is not a hard and fast rule that 5 is mandatory, but on an average. Okay, so if you are having 4 also, 3 also, then more or less it is sufficient. If you are having this number is good, then definitely you can explore that industry aspect, because that will enhance. Because when you are going for interview, you can showcase I have that capability, which makes me different from the other candidates. I can build the product, because nowadays everything is grant how to build your product, so you can showcase that thing. But if you are having or lacking that aspect in terms of the number of publication, then try to join those like area where you can have the publication. So that I would say one thing. There are some postdocs where you are closely working with industry as well as they are promoting for journal publications. So you have to tune from that point of view. And third one is teaching presentation. So normally they just want to see how you are presenting or how you are explaining a topic to an undergraduate student. So let's say we can take convolution. Okay, so they just want you can take one small topic that should be very core, because you are also from signal processing background. You can choose any one of the basic concept, either it can be from signal processing or signal system or whatever. You can take one topic and explain it in detail. Okay, so for example, in convolution, you can say what is the convolution, what is the expression, from where this expression was derived, and you can link it with to the signal properties and those things. Like that, you have to just like give 10 minutes presentation on convolution.
Okay,
I
and the
think that
other question was like how to build the academic network, like for if I would like to.
okay. That is one of the important like part, because I did not have very good network when I was in PhD. Um, so the one thing is try to attend as many as possible. Let's say for a speech, we used to have winter schools of speech. Okay, and some national conferences are also there, NCC and those things. So whenever you get these opportunities, try to attend those conferences or workshop. Also, try to present your work. You have done something in your PhD, and if you are having some publication, let's say if you are having one like whatever journal publication, never miss an opportunity to explain your work to some of the professor in those seminars or those things. That is one way. Another one is there are some, for example, again, I'm explaining about a speech. There is some, what do I say? One email, what do I say? Email group is there. So that contains lot of good professors from outside India. Okay. So sometimes they used to organize some talk. So try to attend those talk and then try to ask questions. So see what happens if you're attending those kind of talks. You would, if you're asking some question, at least you would find these are few Indians who are there. You can and this that is what happened with me also. I attended few of those talks. When I went to the center speech, I met them, then they could recognize me. Oh, you were there in the talk now. So these are the few things like you need to interact. And also in IIT Guwahati, if some of be it, see, because you are from AC background and signal processing background, so if someone from signal processing, be it image processing also, be it speech, you try to attend, if there is some expert talk, try to attend that talk and then try to personally interact with that professor. That I think at least I was lacking during my PhD. So that is one of the biggest lacking aspect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devashir.
Tamanna, do you have any question?
Yes, I have one question.
Yeah.
I wanted to know that whether Inspire faculty is considered as a postdoctoral experience or not. That I'm very confused regarding that.
Inspire faculty is a very good. Okay, if you get it, you do not lose that opportunity. It is, I would say, it is more than a very. If you are doing comparing a postdoc from India versus Inspire faculty, you should consider that as one of the good options.
Means I can opt for that in spite of going for a postdoc in abroad or in.
Yes, but it is very competitive. Again, it is very competitive, but you can apply for that. It is very
Okay.
prestigious. If it is there, you are an Inspire like Inspire fellow. You got this fellowship. It would add a lot of value to your CV.
Actually, I am an Inspire fellow now, but I want to apply for that. So I'm confused regarding going for a postdoc or like which will be better.
See, after that, you should be obviously producing some because the first question they'll ask you, oh, good, you got this fellowship, but some research work should be there to showcase. That is the again research output. If you are feeling you are struggling somewhere, that then try to collaborate with some of the professors to
Okay.
produce that research output. Rather than immediately jumping for the postdoc, you
Okay.
can opt for the collaboration within India, maybe outside India also, whatever possible.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So, like, I have a question for both of you. Like, looking back, what you have done differently during your PhD? What about you, Sandeep Bhaiya?
Uh, See, I mean, that's a very a kind of difficult question to answer because see, whatever I have done has led me here. So, I mean, I feel like I have done things quite right that has led to me, I mean, at this point in my career. But still, to answer your question, I mean, what would have done is maybe I would have, have done sped up my research work because, I mean, I feel like I was working a little slow, so I could have, walked a bit faster. Also, one thing is that I mean, I missed mentioning earlier as well, and like I would like to mention right now is if you're working in AI field, you should have a paper in a very good AI conference, like in the likes of triple AI or NIPS or ICML. So those type of a good level conference, even a single paper in those type of conferences can boost your chances of getting into Microsoft, Google, and all, because even though journals are good and reputed and all, it's more academic oriented. So industries, they'll mostly look for these papers in this type of high level conferences. So if someone is planning to get into industry after PhD, so I know, I mean, the academic requirements is that you have to have two journal paper to get a PhD and all. Try to get at least one good paper in a very good AI conference. That will, boost your CV to a great extent. And automatically, if 10 people are applying, and if you have a good paper in a good conference, then you will be in the top of all the 10 people. So I would have done that if I would have, known at that time in my PhD.
And I would like to add on that. See, if you're from computer science background, so in CS department, few conferences like CVPR and then few very good conferences are there. They are getting very high priority over journal papers. So it is also few aspects vary from department to department. Well, as in IEEE or ECE, they prefer journal paper, be it sometimes Q2, then they prefer that. So there is something like vary from department to department.
So, what about you, the like what you have done differently?
I was, I thought about it a lot, but then the same answer came to my mind. Obviously, it was a very struggling period, my PhD journey, and but whatever I have gained after that, all those was possible because of that struggle only. And but let's say if I want to add, so this industry experience, I felt like uh, everyone should do. If you are in PhD and if your supervisor is supporting you, please go and try to have industry experience if it is available in your area. That is one thing. Other than that, I can be like, what do I say? I could interact much with my, like, at that time I did not have much network as such. Okay, so that was one of the missing aspect, and one of the important aspect also. Uh, I was little bit, because of that, whatever could be the reason, but I was little bit disconnected with the current speech research community at that time. Okay, so I was fully involved in my problem statement. So that was one of the, I would say, do not try to have that.
And one last piece of like advice I would like to give is to enjoy your time when you are having your
Yeah.
PhD. I mean, don't get completely engrossed on your work. Enjoy
Yes.
your
Yes.
surroundings. Enjoy the tech fest. Enjoy the El Chiringa. Don't
True.
miss all those things, because you will make good friends in your PhD. Because once you join industry, you will have colleagues. You will not have friends.
True. And then also have a very good lab environment, because me and Sandeep were in the same lab. And then I still remember that 4 p.m. tea wala time. Or like around, there were 6 to 7 lab members. We used to go to tea, and then we don't know, like our topics of discussions were varied, and you cannot, imagine. It was definitely non-technical, but we used to laugh a lot. So just try to have a very good lab environment. If it is not there, then trust me, your PhD journey again will be more stressful.
Mm. Thank you both of you for like joining us and like sharing your valuable insights. And we are wrapping up the session today. And thank you all of our attendees for joining us in today's webinar. Thank you all.
Thank
And
you
Thank you,
all.
everyone.
uh,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.